Hello, this is Thomas, K4SWL. If you're new here, I like to do real-time, real-life amateur radio field activation videos. And today is a very special day. I've got a new radio I want to show you, and I'm really excited about it. Before I begin, I'd like to thank my Patreon and Coffee Fund supporters. As you've noticed, I don't run ads on my YouTube channel. I've turned off all of the ads on all of my videos. So by supporting me on Patreon and Coffee Fund, you make this labor of love financially viable. So I really appreciate that. If you don't have the means to support me, that's fine too. My stuff will always be free. Anyway, I'm out here today at the Blue Ridge Parkway Folk Art Center, and there is someone. It's a Sunday morning, and it's like what, 8:30, and there's someone mowing, so we're probably going to have a mower going around us, but it looks like they've already mowed this part, hopefully, so maybe it won't be too loud here. I am going to show you a new radio. Now, I've pushed this video to the front of the line. Tomorrow, so today is Sunday, August 11th, and I believe tomorrow this radio is going to be announced. And I've hinted about it before on QRPer.com. If you went to 4 Days in May, you've already seen a prototype of this radio this year. So it's not like top secret, but it is a radio I've been beta testing, and a few others have as well. So I'm going to pull it out here real quick and show you the radio, but I want to talk about it after I get the antenna deployed. I'm going to go ahead and get the antenna up and everything so we can put on the battery and kind of get things going now. So I can set up the tripod here real quick, and I'll show you this radio and what I've got. So I put together this pack. It's got dog hair all over it and stuff. I put together this little pack for the radio a few days ago, and I haven't really thoroughly tested this thing. I've taken it out once with this pack and added a couple items to it. But this is one of my headrest pouches from Blue Ridge Overland Gear, and it holds this radio really nicely. Let me show you the radio real quick, and then we'll get things deployed. I should add here, if you are really new to my channel, I don't edit my videos. That's what I mean by real-time, real life. However, I do, to make it easier for you to skip around through the video, I do put chapters in the video. So if you just kind of hover your mouse over the timeline in YouTube, you'll be able to see where the chapters are, and you can skip the things you don't like. So this radio is called the CFT1. This is a cover that Joshua N5FY has already made for it. He is one of the beta testers of the radio as well. And this is the radio. It's a little 5-band CW field radio that is available as a kit. This is a beta version of the radio, of course. I've had this since, I think, is it early June, mid-June? 2 months now, basically, beta testing it. I'm one of quite a few beta testers that Jonathan, KM4CFT, who you've seen here on the channel. In fact, I think the last time I activated the Blue Ridge Parkway at the Folk Art Center, it was here with him. And in fact, before the video, he did a firmware upgrade to this that he had just finished, and he wanted me to check it out. Jonathan is a friend, a great guy, an active POTA and SOTA activator, a CW op, and he decided to make a radio. I was really shocked when he told me that. He said, I'm gonna make a little CW transceiver. He's never done that before, but he's a great engineer. And he did. He came up with this radio, and I think it's pretty darn neat, and everybody in the beta group really loves it as well. Really simple radio I'll kind of get into here in a little bit. But first, let's go ahead and get the antenna up. Since it's a KM4CFT radio, I'm going to use my KM4CFT linked NFED half wave that I made from the KM4CFT kit. So let's go ahead and get this guy up, and take all my glasses off and everything before these things come floating out while I'm trying to deploy this antenna. Here's where I really hope that he's done his mowing over here, because when I put this antenna up, it's going to have something in the grass. I don't want him to step on. Now, I'm not taking out my wireless mics this time, so you won't be able to hear me as I set everything up here. But I think what I'm going to do is move back to about right here. Yeah, go for one of those branches. I think it's about what I do normally. Just find a nice place to set up the camera so you should be able to see me either get this or flub it up, one of the two. Doesn't really matter because this is part of the fun of POTA. That worked out really nicely. Okay, grab the antenna here. Just take this Velcro off. Yeah, it looks like he's putting up his mower, so I guess he has done it here. I really didn't want this to be in his way while he was trying to mow. Okay, here we go. Go ahead and connect this. Now we're going to start on the 40 meter band today. This is a little unhandy here. There we go. Start on the 40 meter band and then kind of maybe work our way up. I don't have a long time actually to do this activation. This is kind of a last minute thing. I am going to the hospital to visit yet another family member who's in the hospital. It's not my father, it's not my father-in-law. It is a cousin. It's my mom's cousin, and she is having a hard time, and so I'm going to go visit her. I just found out yesterday evening that she's in the hospital here in Nashville, so I'm going to go visit her this morning and check in on her and talk to the doctors and stuff. There we go. Okay, now what I'm going to go ahead and do, this is so tiny on the end, I'm going to go ahead and get my RG316 and hook it up. So I'm going to use what I made, which is just a little small length of it here in my pack. Let's see, let's grab this. Now I know I would have used the over-under method on this, but still probably got a little bit messed up in there. It doesn't really matter. Such a short piece of RG316. Go ahead and connect this up, and then so I can tell how far I can go with this, I'm going to kind of string this right here so it's there. Now let's go ahead and pull up the other end of the line. See, when I want to, I can get an antenna up fairly quickly. Okay, there we go. I can kind of watch it. Sorry, I know the camera's getting bashed all around. There goes the link. I am here to tell you that that was a decent antenna deployment. I can't even see the end of the antenna coming through the trees. It was up that high, so, and that's 65 feet of line. So that's a good 60 feet up there at least, probably. I don't even think I'm going to need a weight on the end here. I'll go ahead and grab this anyway and keep it all neat here on the end. I don't really think I need this, but it's always nice to kind of weight off the end of the line just in case. And then this is all pretty obvious and easy to see here. As you can see, whoops, you know what? I forgot. This RG316 has pulled out and it's not nearly long enough. So I need to loosen this up, give it a little bit more room here. What I'll do is go ahead and set it up on the other end, then come back and put this weight on. Yeah, wow, this is great. This is fantastic. sometimes these things work out really well, and this is one of those times. And don't worry too much, like if your end-fed half wave is touching a tree branch. You know, I think I can fix this though, so it's not touching it quite as much. Let me see. Yes, now that is really working out nicely, actually. It's not going to go into any of the, not through the thick of all those branches. It does touch a couple of branches. Who cares about that anyway? So I'm going to put a inline RF choke on here. This is one made by Joshua at Tufton, because I'm not using my one that has the ferrites built into it. Okay, so, you know, I don't need to do a, I don't need to put the weight on the other end of that. I think I'm fine here. So let's get started. It's a beautiful morning. I gotta say, we had a really wet past few weeks, and just lots of wet weather, lots of thunderstorms, and the past 3 days have been really, really nice. Boy, you really appreciate it when you are able to enjoy just kind of nice dry weather. Not having to fight the rain everywhere you go. Okay, let's start getting things out here from my pack. So this pack has a full kit in it. I don't need anything else that other than what's in this pack. Before you ask, this is my N0SA original. He kind of called it a soda paddle, and I'm going to use it today. Haven't used it in a little while. I'm hoping the contacts are clean. It's been in another pack, which is the reason I haven't been using it as much. I've got to get in here real quick and remember that's the paddle one. That's right. I also need to use an audio cable because I'm not going to use an inline digital recorder to do the audio from this. So let's go ahead and I did bring a speaker so we can listen to the audio through a speaker. It always makes it so much easier for me to set up when I've got a speaker instead of, well, let's see. Here we go. And here's my speaker. Let's go and plug this in and I'll turn it on. This is a Sony speaker. I actually prefer the Anchor Soundcore Mini that you see in a lot of my videos, but this speaker sounds fantastic. Let's see here. This is my battery and my power cord. This is just a Talent Cell battery pack. Super simple, super inexpensive. And let's see what else I need to set up here. Let's make sure you can see everything okay. I think you can. Grab a couple of shots while I'm doing this, so I don't forget. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about this radio. So basically, this radio is the brainchild of my buddy Jonathan, KM4CFT. I think I mentioned, like, really, when he told me back in, I think, December, during an activation, if I think about it, I'll link above, I probably won't think about it, but we did an activation at the Zebulon Vance birthplace together while he was here visiting family during the holidays. And he said, yeah, I think I've decided I'm going to build this radio, like a little 5-band CW transceiver. And I mean, if I'm being honest, and Jonathan, if you're watching this, like, I didn't think he'd actually go through with it, because he had been making small items like this antenna kit and some Morse code paddles and things like that. But there's a really big leap from doing a design like that, something simple like I say simple, but something like a key or even an end-fed half-wave kit, to jumping into building a transceiver, a full-on transceiver. But he did it, and boy, we were just all very impressed with how well he made this work. So he announced it during 4 days in May, so around the Dayton Hamvention time frame. And he did what everyone should do when they build a new transceiver, and he enlisted a small army of beta testers that are CW operators. They're active CW operators. So he asked me to do it, which I was very pleased to do. It's all volunteer, of course. And he also had several other of my friends, Joshua N5FY, Evan K2EJT, Charlie NJ7V, Ara N6ARA, and a few others. Like I can't list them all because I can't remember everybody's call sign, if I'm being honest with you. But we all got the radio. He sent them out sometime, like probably the second week of June or something. And man, oh man, we were just so pleased with the very first prototype iteration of the radio. It was really well thought through. And since then, he's done at least 2 firmware updates, but frankly, they've been minor ones. They've mainly just been working on the keyer timing and a couple other things. And it's a really nicely polished radio now. I'll go ahead and turn it on. Whoops. I actually had it on, but I need to turn on my battery pack. There we go. Really simple display here. It's a backlit LCD screen. Hopefully you can see this. There we go. You can hear too from the speaker. Really simple controls on the front. Jonathan designed this radio so that I remember when we first started beta testing it, I think someone in our Discord group said, hey, do you have a manual yet? And he said, no. He said, I actually want you to try to do everything without the manual. He said, if you need the manual to do stuff with this radio, then I need to redesign the user interface. And by golly, it is very simple. Very, very simple. And I should say that, like, it reminds me a bit, this is like a mixture in my world. I think it's like a mixture between like a Mountain Topper and a QMX or another QRP Labs radio. It has the very look of, the QRP Labs radio, very much so, with the volume and the encoder and multi-buttons and everything here in the middle and the screen. And it's roughly the same size as a QMX or a QCX, possibly slightly thicker, but not much. So it's very similar, but like the Mountain Topper, it's even kind of more designed with the activator in mind. Now, I think that the QMX is a work of art. It's a wonderful radio, but the Mountain Topper, on the other hand, was really designed with SOTA activations in mind. So everything on it was made for an activator to quickly access. And this is very similar. It has memory playback and recording features off of 4 memory buttons right here. And it's super, super easy to both record and play back memories and repeat them. Very, very easy. You've got 4 dedicated buttons. I don't know of many radios that have 4 dedicated buttons, especially on such a small radio. There's a band button right here. Menu. In fact, I'm going to click this and you can see what bands we have here. So it's got 40 meters, 30 meters, 20 meters, 17, and 15. Really my favorite picks for doing any kind of activations. Those are the bands I usually go for. It's the reason why the Elecraft KH1 has those particular bands. They're great for doing activations. I'm going to start on 40 meters, which is the reason I've got it here. The audio sounds wonderful. It has a 350 hertz filter, crystal filter in it. Oh, before I even get talking about that, you probably wonder what the price is. If you haven't already clicked on links, of course, I've got links to all this stuff in the description, and I'll have it on my QRP post as well. But this radio is available for $349. It is a kit. You can also, I think you can order a fully assembled version of it, but the kit is actually, I did not get the kit version of this. He sent me a fully assembled version because when this came out, I was literally in the middle of the busiest few weeks of my life this summer. It was so intense and insane. I did not have time to build. I wouldn't have had time to build an antenna kit, let alone a radio kit. So he sent me a fully assembled one, but some of the other beta testers, probably half the other beta testers, had kit versions of the radio they built. And by and large, they all said, first of all, his instructions were already really well done and very thorough, easy to follow, but also that this radio is easier to build than, say, a QRP Labs radio. QRP Labs radios are amazing, their instructions are amazing, but this one's like a little more accessible, a little easier to build than the QRP Labs radio. You can also buy pre-round toroids with this kit if you want to. And it's all done through Radio Dan's website. I'll have links to all that below, of course. So it's 40 through 15 meters. In receive, it pulls somewhere between 60 to 90 milliamps, which is wonderful. That means you can operate on a very modest battery like this Talent Cell battery. No problem at all. Again, it has these dedicated buttons for memory playback, which I really, really like. It has AGC, it has RIT and XIT. So you actually, and this is one thing, I just received a new panel showing the XIT function on here, but I have not replaced out the front panel of this yet. I just got it and I just haven't had a chance to do it. So this is going to look slightly different than the production model that's out right now. But I mean, to have both those functions on a portable radio is pretty amazing, especially XIT. You can change the key or speed. You can move it, of course, from like paddles to straight, iambic A and B, and you can reverse the keyer so that, you know, the dits are on the right and left or left and right. It doesn't really matter. And again, a 350 hertz crystal filter is built into this. Otherwise, it's a really simple radio. The menu, to get into the menu, you just kind of hop in here and there are different menu options. I'll show them to you all right here, right now. Paddle direction, messages. You can fill your messages here. I only have one in, as you can see. You can set the beacon for a repeat and the beacon timeout. You can change your LCD, you can turn on the backlight if you don't want it on or if you want it off, and you got a calibration menu. Now, if in the future there would happen to be a firmware update, I don't know that there will be because this is pretty darn polished as it is, you will need to make a note of all of your calibration settings in here. I'm not going to go into it right now, but in case that it were to happen, you would need to do that. And that's it. Those are all the menu functions. Everything else is kind of right up here, right up front. So setting it up, operating it, again, you don't even really need a manual. You will not need a nifty manual for this radio. And that's a really big difference between also my two other radios I love, which are the Mountain Topper series and the QRP Lab series. Love those radios. But I have to admit that both of them, especially when I'm switching between like the MTR 3B, 4B, and 5B, I get a little confused with the menu sometimes in the field, and I really do need a quick reference sheet. You won't need it for this radio, even if you haven't used it for a while and you pull it out. Very, very simple to use. The price of this radio is $349 for the kit, and I think I looked this morning, and I think they've set the pre-wound toroids for something like a $30 extra. I think it's probably worth the time just to get those pre-wound if you don't like winding toroids, and that takes out kind of like the most difficult part of a kit build, frankly, for a lot of people. Though I don't think winding toroids is all that difficult unless you get those kinds. I gotta say, that's the thing about the QCX and especially QMX series, is just you have some pretty complicated toroids to wind you need to take your time on. And I think that Alan W2AEW watched this space because I think he will probably do a video showing how he built his at some point in the future. I don't want to speak too soon. I don't know when he's doing that or if he's actually going to do it, but just watch his space. Alan he's also one of the early adopters of this radio, and in a sense kind of helping beta test it as well. So I'm not actually hearing a lot on the bands right now, which is, I did hear that one station. Oh, good. Woo, did you hear that? I'm going to move down here to 6200. And let's go ahead and set things up. I need to do this activation pretty quickly. It's almost 9 o'clock. Almost 9 o'clock. I need to be getting going here. Okay, so we are Blue Ridge Parkway. Which is US 3378. Today is August 11th, 2024, and we're using the CFT1 and an end-fed half-wave. There's no built-in antenna tuner in this. There's no built-in battery. I wouldn't expect it at this price point. It's not really needed, in my opinion. A lot of these small field portable radios don't really have things like that anyway. We'll start this on the 40-meter band. Let's hope. I think we're being hit by CME today, so I'm kind of hoping that the bands cooperate a little bit so you can kind of see what this radio can do with this antenna combination. Oh, yes, I need to spot myself. I need to spot myself. And of course I got to sign in because I didn't. This always happens to me. Oh good, it didn't challenge me with a whole bunch of extra things. Okay, so let's see. Let's go up here to add spot. 7062 US-3378 CW. Now, let me just check. Just make sure nobody's there. Okay. Now let's check the time here real quick. 8. It's almost, so it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, we're at 12. I'll put 12 in here. If we get somebody here in the next couple of minutes, then it'll still be 12 o'clock, but it's going to move to 13 here in a second. As you can hear, it's got QSK, it's got pin diode switching. Okay. See how low the noise floor is on this radio too? I don't know how he does it. He always has a huge signal. Okay, wait. Okay, KB4CO. Ooh, the band's fading out a little bit. A lot of activity this morning. Okay, wait, here we go. Now, why did I go back to him, or her? I don't know who this is. It's because the speed was the same as the one I was hearing, so maybe I misheard that one. Good to get you. Okay, that's who I heard earlier, maybe. No. This radio is a pleasure to use. It's so nice. I think you'll have a hard time keeping these in stock. crazy loud. It's a little early in the morning for me to send an S than an H for some reason. It's easier for me to do it in ragchew. Harder for me to do it as a call sign for some reason. Okay, there we go. Good to get you in there, buddy. Okay. Oh, N-E, I didn't hear the E in there. N-E-4-T-N. He gave me an antenna at 4 Days in May that I need to check out. The band must be going down there. Gotcha. Yeah, QRN, okay. Yeah, he's fading a little bit too. Haven't had you in the logs in a while, have I? W4JL? Maybe I did. Maybe I have had you in the logs in a while. He is an avid POTA activator too, and soda. Oh, I'm hearing somebody in there. Gotcha. Gotcha. Sorry. Okay, I'll do one more. Good to get, General Man. One more. That's it now. I'm not doing any more, I promise. I do have to go to the hospital now, so... No dit. Okay, that's fine. Awesome. This was so much fun. Oh my gosh. I haven't had this kind of luck with propagation in a while. First of all, I'm usually not out in the mornings. It's usually like midday or mid-afternoon when I'm doing my activations, and propagation on the upper bands has been so completely hit and miss recently that you just don't know what to expect. This morning was just gorgeous. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun, and yeah, very happy. This was such a fun little activation. And it's a great way to kind of show you how the CFT1 works. Again, and there's another radio I would compare it to, and that would be John WA3RNC's radios, the TR 35 and 45, 25, that series of Pentec radios. In that, this radio is just as easy to operate in the field. And so if you want a super simple, super easy radio to operate in the field, and you're a CW operator and you like to do activations or work from home, whatever, this is a fantastic radio to use for that. I really can't say enough good things. I don't know how he managed to do this, never having made a radio before. It's very difficult for me to believe that he hasn't designed other radios, because I've watched big companies. In fact, I'll say this. I've been testing the Xiegu X6200 now. It's been 2 months. I've had it for 2 months. And it's a cool radio. It's a completely different kind of thing, right? Like it's an SDR with a big color display and multi-mode and all this other stuff, right? And more bands, everything. It's a much more complex radio for a different user, really, for a different use case. Xiegu is fairly well known for rushing things to market and not putting it through a thorough beta testing. So usually when you're an early adopter, you end up being a bit of a beta tester, because there's still so many things to be ironed out with the radio. Jonathan did a proper beta testing trial with this radio for a couple of months with avid, active operators who were giving honest feedback, and he incorporated that feedback. So it means that when this radio comes out, it's pretty darn polished. In fact, the only thing that I think, I have no criticisms of it, really. It does what it's supposed to do. I think it's a good price. Jonathan's not doing this to make $1 million. I don't know how anybody could actually make a massive fortune off of little CW radios anyway. He's doing this because it was fun. It honors his grandfather. He kind of dedicated it to him. And he just did it to put something out there that he wanted, a radio he wanted. So that's the wonderful thing about our amateur radio world, is we so many little cottage industries of people making what they want and taking it into the marketplace so other people can enjoy and make it as well. So this didn't end up just being some homebrew project for him. He's able to share it with everyone, and it's a fun kit to build as well. Are there other radios like it? Yeah, I mean, there are quite a few. But if you like QRP radios and you like CW radios and you want something extra that can fit in a pouch this big, right? This is a great radio. And the only criticism I had of it at all, in fact, is when I find that I operate this without a choke, without an RF choke. And see, almost all of the lines I use the most, my feed lines, they all have built-in RF chokes. But when I use it without, this one I made here, this one is one I homebrewed, and it's just a plain old RG316. Sometimes on some bands with some antennas, if the SWR isn't really good and there's a little RF coming back, I've noticed just slight keying anomalies, but they're very, very minor. It's not a big deal. I did an activation 2 weeks ago with this radio, didn't have an inline RF choke, and 3 or 4 times during the activation there was like a little keying error, a little keying mishap with a letter, but it still is not a big deal. I think having an RF choke on your radio is just a good idea anyway. So this thing is super solid. I love it. I heartily recommend it. I'm not getting any kickback from anything. This was a volunteer beta thing. Jonathan is a great guy, though. If you've ever met him, he's a really, really kind fellow. And he got all his friends out to do this beta testing, and it's been a blast doing it. And we'll continue to do more with this. Of course, this radio is, it's going to be taken out to the field with me a whole lot anyway. I may replace it out with a prototype and just purchase one from him or whatever. But I'm really, really pleased with this radio, and I think it's a really cool addition to anyone's field kit. And you can easily build a fully self-contained field kit around it. In fact, that's what I'm going to show you right now, is just what's in this. Let's go ahead and turn this off and unpack. I need to get out of here soon. So I would encourage you to get one of these little Tufton front faceplate protectors for the radio. I think that that's a really nice addition. I've actually got extra stuff in here. So if you can look in here, you can see that I actually have a full throw line in here, Weaver throw line. This is 25 meters of Excel 2mm throw line with an 8-ounce weight, right? So I do have a full throw line in there. This is the battery pack, the little Talent Cell battery pack. I have links to all this stuff in the description below, but also on QRPer.com. Always check QRPer, that's where I spend all my time. I don't spend time editing videos, I spend time writing up posts on QRPer. I'll go ahead and put my radio in here. This is like a completely extra, I know the reason I have this in here. This is an extra key cable in case I decided to put paddles in that didn't have a built-in line, but this one does. This one has a built-in cable, so there's no need for that. And I have an extra cable in here for when I use a speaker. And probably anytime you see me out with this radio, I'm going to have a speaker in here. I think the speaker will actually fit in here as well if I really wanted to. But I think I'm going to go get another Soundcore speaker that I love so much. I'm going to get another one of those here and add it to the mix. So I'll stick this in here. Put this in. And we'll go ahead and pull this over here. You know what? Since I did not tie off the other end of the line, I can sit here, the comfort of my table, and put up this antenna, I think. First of all, I'm going to set this RG316 off to the side so I don't drop this in the process. Here we go. We'll just do it this way. Man, this is one of the best antenna deployments I've done here, I think. Sometimes you really luck out and just get a really good tree limb at a really nice height. Perfect for 40-meter end-fed half-wave. Sometimes that little link, that S-hook, will kind of grab a branch. It's pretty smooth, so it's pretty easy to get out. It's never going to knot up or get really caught in a tree branch, but sometimes you'll kind of feel you need to jerk it just a little bit to get that out of the branch. There we go. This is some of W2AEW's excellent, completely discontinued, don't ask him about it, wire. We just had Alan, W2AEW, on the Ham Radio Workbench podcast. He'll be, in fact, I think it's the next episode that comes out. And I was joking with him about this wire because I get so many questions about this blue wire. And he just picked this up at a ham fest one time, got an incredible deal for it, just a steal of a deal, and was kind enough to send me a few hundred feet of it to make with antennas. And it's just such a great line for doing it. I'm getting ready to build another antenna around any 4TN's transformer that he gave me at 4 days in May. And it's just wonderful. It's a lot like Polystealth. Okay, I think I'm coming close to the end here. Yep, not too far off. It's only fitting that I use a KM4 CFT antenna with a KM4 CFT transceiver, right? Just let that go. And wind this around. There we go. And now let's put up the RG316. Again, last time I did this over under. I don't think it really matters because it kind of all, just the nature of this stuff is that it doesn't really keep a memory anyway, and you're still going to get it like kind of twisted up a little bit, keeping it in a pack this small. But it doesn't really keep a memory, so it's super easy to pull this out. But it does put something in there. Now I actually can put my speaker in here too if I really wanted to. I don't know if I want to do this or not. Make sure I'm not turning on my battery doing this. No. Will it fit in? I did it before, but I may have to rearrange things to make that work. It doesn't need to. So I'm probably, like I said, I'm probably get the Soundcore Mini speaker for this. Nice neat little pack. Now let's go get the, oh, let me take a picture of just the log sheet. There we go. I'm going to do my best to get this video released tomorrow, so it would be Monday, if not Monday, Tuesday. One of the reasons I want to keep this a little on the shorter side, in fact, is because, oh, this goes in there too. I forgot to put it in the pack. I'll stick it here. I'll put it in when I get home. Okay, let's go put this up. We'll do the throw line figure 8 here. Whoops, there we go. Shouldn't take too long here. It does take a little while to do this, but it's worth it to get the benefits of a throw line. And people, I get too many people that write to me and say, man, I'd really like to do a throw line, but it's just too difficult for me, and I'm just not good at it. I promise you, everybody can do this, because you don't have to be as accurate as, say, an arborist would be. You know, arborists have to use these things. They have to nail like one particular branch usually. Like they have to be pretty strategic. As ham radio operators in a tree like this, for example, there are at least 5 branches this thing could have hit and would have worked out just fine. A little practice goes a really long way with these. Really long way. I'm no expert and I can do it, so. And I think it's kind of a part of the fun of an activation. This is if you live in an area with trees. You know, I know some people that live out west, they're activating sites that really don't have trees. Or if they do, they're really, really low trees, maybe at a high altitude or something. That's a different story. You may need to bring your own support for your antenna for that. But if you live in an area with a lot of trees, take advantage of them. There are antenna supports that are already there. You don't have to deploy anything else and support anything else. It's self-supporting. So it's perfect. There we go. Nice. Done as dinner. Okay, let's go ahead and get this loaded up in here. Sorry. And I'll put my hat in here as well. May even put this in here. Yeah, I love this pad. I gotta say, I use this all the time. Thought I'd use that pad just for when it's wet. You know, on my picnic table or my seat or the ground or wherever. I use it all the time. Okay, there we go. It's packed up and ready to go. Let me take a picture of my pack so I can remember what I brought here. I've been using this GR1 a whole lot lately. And it's just one of my favorite rucksacks ever. They're not cheap though, boy, they're not cheap at all, but mine was made in the US. They make a lot of them, I think now in Vietnam or someplace. A lot of pack manufacturers make them, but yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. And I'll watch the comments. If you got any questions about the CFT1, I'll be happy to answer them. I'll make sure that Jonathan knows I post the video as well so he can comment. Again, look on QRPer.com for links to everything. And thank you, as always, to my coffee fund and Patreon supporters. You really do make all of this possible and make it financially viable to do all the things I do, which is really wonderful, and to pay for family trips and stuff. That's where I take my extra money after I've paid for all the things with QRPer.com, the SW Welling Post, the Shortwave Archive, the Spectrum Archive, all those other things I do, all those other projects, and the channel and the websites. After I've paid for all that stuff and paid for gear and everything, all the rest of the money goes into our family fun account. So it pays for things like our trips and things like that. So my wife and daughters also get a benefit from this, which is really nice. So thank you. And yeah, keep this in mind. This world is a better place because you are in it. Until next time, 7 twos.